bringing together two very opinionated, passionate, influential people, very opposing views, and we're going to have a proper debate, and we're going to see if somewhere there is perhaps more that we can agree on than we first imagined. So thank you for joining me, gentlemen. We tossed a coin before we came on air tonight, and actually you won the toss, and you said you want to go second.
I defer to my brother.
And the way this will work, Mohammed, we have 4 sections of this debate, and at the start of each one, you'll both get 1 minute uninterrupted to say what you want to say about each of the themed titles of each block. So you go first, and at the end of your minute, you'll hear a sound, and when you hear that, you end, and then Rabbi Shmuley gets his chance to speak. So the first theme is a simple one. Are Hamas to blame? You have a minute, Mohammed, from now.
From one perspective, Hamas started the battle because obviously from October 7th, even they themselves title it Tufan al-Aqsa, or the flooding of al-Aqsa. But from another perspective, if you really look at it from an international law perspective, we're talking about 1967, we're talking about Security Resolution 242, in which it is actually stated that Israel is in a belligerent state because they're occupying the West Bank, East Jerusalem and Gaza. And they have been, so therefore the war has been continual for a very long time according to international law. But let's remove Hamas from the situation altogether. Let's remove them. What do you have? You have the West Bank. And what do you have in the West Bank? You have 187 children who have been put in prisons. They have been put in prisons, according to Bet Salem, without charge. You have 44 children before October the 7th that have been killed before October the 7th in just 2023 alone. So if you remove Hamas from the equation, what you have the West Bank. You remove dominance from the equation, you have the West Bank, and what you have occupation, you have settlement, which you condemned, rightfully so. You condemned that on your show. The settlement's there.
Okay. Rabbi Shmuley.
Stopping it there, and welcome to Mika Reacting Reviews, where reacting reviews to things on the internet. Before we get to Mr. Rabbi, I want to respond to what Mohammed said. By the way, this is that fiery debate that Piers Morgan had on his show very recently. This is just a snippet of the over hour-long debate. We all know that the conflict in the Middle East is a very hot topic right now. So Mr. Piers asks Mr. Mohammed, do you blame Hamas for this, what's going on in the conflict right now in the Middle East? And he kind of like literally just didn't answer the question. He said, yeah, in one perspective, you can say he started because he initiated the most recent attack. He didn't say he was blaming Hamas. He said in some people's perspective, other people's perspective, or in some perspectives, you could say that. But then he went off and said, but, I mean, this has been years and years and years and years of oppression. Israel occupying settlements that was meant for Palestinians. Then he just literally just said, let's just completely take Hamas out of the equation. But that was the question. The question was, do you blame Hamas? So how, it's like, I want to ask you about this pizza. Is it good? And someone's like, let's not even talk about pizza. Let's talk about fried chicken instead. It was like, well, that was the question. The question was about pizza. So, and I've seen a bit of this already, and I think both of these people have a hard time just answering questions. So anywho, I'm going to shut my mouth and get right back into it and let's see what Mr. Rabbi has to say.
Let's respond.
Resolution 242 in the UN doesn't mention a single thing about aggression or aggressor. That is a total fabrication, and it speaks about disputed territories. But let's be clear. The occupier of Gaza is Hamas. They won an election in 2006, had a civil war with Mahmoud Abbas, took the Palestinian Authority officials, threw them off buildings, killed Muslims, killed Arabs. Mahmoud Abbas is afraid to go to Gaza. He's terrified of Hamas. He hasn't been there since 2007. And let's be clear, Hamas is an abomination to Islam. Sultan Salah al-Din, the greatest Muslim conqueror of all time, after whom the main artery in Gaza is named, he said that you have to allow all prisoners to be redeemed. He would never hold hostages. And remember, Islam is about fair treatment of prisoners of war. Hamas beheaded Thai non-Jewish workers. You asked in your last appearance here for real first-hand sources. I'm the first-hand source. I saw it in Kibbutz Alumim. They raped women. They had sex with dead women's bodies. They are evil, and do the right thing and call them evil.
All right, we've had a minute each.
All right, stopping it there. That was his little time for his introduction. I want to preface this by saying I'm not a fan of either of these two people. I think both of them pull on sort of like outrage language and emotional language and triggering language. They're both very hyper emotional about a situation, which again, I know it's an emotional situation, but when it comes to debate, I expect my debate to be objective and almost emotionless. I just want you to tell me the facts. But I get it. They both have ties to these different places that are having conflicts, so I get it. But I'm not really a fan of both of them, but I'm willing to listen and hear both of them out. I've heard both of them say things in the past that I don't agree with, especially the Muhammad guy. I've heard him say a few things I don't agree with, but I don't like either of their behaviors personally, and that's just a personal thing. But that doesn't mean I'm not willing to listen and hear what they have to say. If the rabbi is correct about, like, hey, they threw people off the buildings, they beheaded prisoners, they assaulted women who were also prisoners, and if that's against Islam, then that makes a point of a lot of Islamic communities that says, like, Hamas doesn't represent us. Hamas doesn't represent Islam. Hamas doesn't represent the Muslim culture and ideology and belief system. So I think that he made actually a really good point that Hamas, the way he's behaving, is against his own culture and community. But like I said in other videos, it doesn't seem like a lot of people are pointing fingers or even holding Hamas accountable for anything that they're doing. But anywho, let's get back into it.
Okay, we've got a passionate start. Mohammed, let me ask you about Hamas.
I want to first, before you do that, I want to commend you, Piers, honestly, because bringing me on for the second time, I have to commend you. And the fact that you actually condemned the settlements is very good. But people want to know, do you think the IDF are a terrorist organization?
No.
You don't think they're a terrorist organization? Okay, well, if you look at the UN definition of terrorist organization, they say killing civilians for political
So you're
gain.
asking my opinion.
No, but if the UN definition, according to the UN definition, is killing civilians for political objectives. Why are they not terrorist organizations?
Well, you've asked me a straight question. I don't think they are a terror organization.
So when you see babies like this, the ones who kill babies like this are not terrorists.
It's horrific.
So the people who kill babies like this are not terrorists.
Well, let me respond.
Yes.
Let me respond.
Let me stop it in there. The whole, like, beheaded babies or killing children, bringing pictures and stuff like that is a tactic. It's an emotional ploy. It's emotional sort of manipulation. Not to say that those things shouldn't be known. Those things aren't facts. But, like, Israel can do the same thing. Like especially when it first started, the attack first happened, I actually just stopped going on Twitter for a while because of the slew and the array and the constant photos and footage and videos of what happened to Israelis. And a lot of people were using that to stir up and garner empathy and stuff like that. So I don't actually really respect or enjoy that tactic. He can simply say, factually, this is what happened. Instead of this, I feel like this is what people do. It's the same thing when people try to, like, protest for open borders or more immigration or migrants and stuff like that. They show the picture of the mother holding the baby, struggling against the water, not letting the public know that the majority of migrants and immigrants are able-bodied young men, right? But they'll use the photo of the woman with the baby to try to, like, garner your empathy and get you to lean to their side and agree with their argument. Again, I'm not saying that those things shouldn't be heard. The way he's using it is kind of like trauma porn, and I don't agree with it, but let's continue.
I believe Israel has a right to defend itself.
Okay.
I agree that they need to get rid of Hamas. Who are terror groups.
In this way?
Well, here's the quandary for me morally, right?
Why is that a quandary, though?
I'll tell you why.
With Hamas, it's not a quandary.
I'll tell you why. Because in war, when you declare war, as Britain did with the Nazis...
100-to-1 ratio.
No,
100
of course,
to 1.
There are
combatant to
I'm actually not even using
higher number of children in Gaza, proportionate to population, than almost anywhere in the world.
Piers,
so when they go after Hamas...
Give me a chance.
Very sadly... Mohammed, let me finish. Very sadly...
You are the one who insisted on equal time. I never did, but you will not respect equal time.
I will come to you literally in 30 seconds.
He's going to ask you a question.
In 30 seconds, I'll come to you.
He's going to come to you afterwards.
Let me finish, please. I am in charge here, Mohammed. So my final point on this is, unfortunately, in war, civilians get killed.
100-to-1 ratio. 100-to-1 ratio.
Yes.
100-to-1 ratio.
Yes, they get killed.
No, not 100-to-1 ratio. It's an unacceptable ratio.
Civilians get killed.
Piers, listen.
In you come.
You know, Piers, can I say respectfully, and I mean this as no insult, I'm amazed that you're intimidated by this man. I feel, well, with all due respect,
if I can speak, I wouldn't bring him back if I was intimidated.
If I can speak.
And he raises a very valid question, by the way.
No, he does not, because I have, before he did this debate, he went on X on Twitter and said, I'm only doing it if there's equal time. And then he is violating that. I never asked for equal time. I just want to be heard, but he won't even let me be heard. Let me explain something to you. You said in a video the other day, and you can look me in the eye, you said that Jews are now trembling. Muhammad, I am not. No, don't interrupt me. I am not. trembling. It's all on my Instagram page. Now, you see this yarmulke? It means that I represent something. I'm an ambassador. You're an ambassador of Islam. You are talking about a religion that started the world's first universities, educated women. Fatima started the first university in the 9th century in Fez, Morocco.
Irrelevant.
Now we have a man who says that he's a representative of Islam. He will
bring
defend
it back to the debate.
I will.
Bring it back to the topic.
He will defend Hamas's butchery, savagery. He doesn't care that Hamas is an abomination to Islam because because Islam.
But he hasn't done that.
The children in Gaza are dying because Hamas uses them as bulletproof vests.
Okay.
The United States and France and England said yesterday that the Al-Shifa hospital is a military base.
Okay.
It has a tiny veneer.
Let him have his minute.
It has a tiny veneer of emergency rooms.
Okay. A minute.
But underneath all of it is a military base.
You have a minute.
And let me tell you something. If it's true that any of these countries care about the Muslims in Gaza because they believe what he's saying, that Israel's killing them, this is a map of all the countries that took place last week in Riyadh to save the Palestinians of Gaza from Israel. Do you know how many? That's Israel, a tiny thing. You know how many of them took in even one Palestinian from Gaza? Zero, nothing.
All right.
Look at that map. Because they want to. The Arabs want to see. The Arabs want to see Hamas. Don't intimidate me. Don't bully me. Don't intimidate me. I'm not afraid of you.
I've got to be able to ask questions. It's a debate. Let's come back. Let me ask you one specific question which he raised, which I don't think actually is your belief. I don't think you have defended what Hamas did on October the 7th.
Yeah, I haven't.
I think you share our...
Are they evil?
Unless I'm wrong.
Are they evil? Are they evil?
Stop speaking. Is it me or him I'm speaking to?
Are they evil?
Rabbi Shmuley,
Is Hamas
you're now
evil?
doing what you accused him of doing.
Stop speaking.
Let me ask you, what is your view of Hamas post-October 7th?
I think that they, just like anybody else, have to be examined, have to look at all the...
What's your opinion about them?
Yeah, I think that... Look, here's my opinion. Let me be straightforward about this, right? Anybody who kills civilians, anybody, whether it's the IDF, I'm consistent in this manner, where if it's proven beyond reasonable doubt that these people have killed civilians in both of our faith traditions, in Islam and Judaism, in the Quran is mentioned, in the Prophet, he said it himself, you cannot kill a woman, you cannot kill a child, I condemn them. I condemn them. That's what I do. Straight away, whether he's Muslim, whether he's non-Muslim, whether he's Christian or anybody else. I've already said that. So I'm not being inconsistent here.
Oh my God, I got a headache. This interview is very, very hard for me to watch. I cannot stand people, again, being really loud and dramatic and performative. And sorry, I wasn't using my microphone literally first half of this video, so that's annoying. But it's really hard for me to listen to both of them. The Muhammad guy constantly interrupting the rabbi, but the rabbi constantly interrupting Piers Morgan. He refuses to look at him, which is very weird, and it's just petty and childish in so many ways. When the rabbi brought up the fact like, oh, you know, Israel created the first university or something like that, and just basically saying all the accolades and progressions that Israel has done, which is true, which again a lot of people don't give them credit for, but however that doesn't really like give you the right to like, I don't know, carpet bomb Gaza. This guy is credited to doing some good things too for their country, but he's also like a fucking genocidal murderer. So it's like, just because someone does something good, and people use this a lot to sort of protect their favorite person, it's like, well, yeah, but he says some good things and he got some good things right or whatever. It's like, who gives a shit? Like, you should really care about the values of the person who's doing it, right? To a certain extent. But anyway, let's continue to listen to this dumpster fire.
My question is, if that is exactly the barometer that we're using, if that's the moral reasoning that we're using, then we have to say, look, if you have a 100-to-1 ratio, and that's what it is, a 100-to-1 ratio. And do you know how I got this figure? I got this figure from the IDF themselves because they have reported to
but let me ask you this. Does Hamas deserve to stay in power after what they did?
I don't think we should have Hamas in power. What I think we should... No, let me tell you... We should have...
How do you get rid of them?
We should have a Palestinian Authority with bigger armies and airports, with proper tanks and with airplanes like every country in the world.
You know what? You might be right. But
absolutely. They won't allow it.
How do you get
the Israelis won't allow that.
How do you get rid of Hamas?
What you don't do, I can tell you for a fact, is try and kill 30,000 of them with a 100-to-1 ratio. Because if you do that, then you're committing genocide. Because you'd have to kill 3 million Palestinians.
Rabbi Shmuley?
Do you even know the definition of genocide?
I haven't said genocide.
What's it? You just said it.
No, I said if you.
What is the definition of genocide? What's the definition?
I said if you do.
You always claim to be an academic. You're always touting your Oxford credentials. What is the definition
All right.
of genocide?
You said conditional.
Genocide is where. Genocide is where.
You'll be genocidal.
Genocide is where you target an ethnicity for extinction. Ethnicity, side, murder.
Yes, if you do it. If you kill 3 million Palestinians, are you genocidal or not? If you kill 3 million Palestinians, are you genocidal or not?
Don't speak over each other.
There are 1.8 million Muslim Arabs who live in total peace in Israel as equal citizens. In fact, Israel practiced reverse discrimination against the Jews because the Jews are conscripted to fight Hamas. So, if Israel, excuse me, no, you will not interrupt me. If Israel, you will not interrupt me. You will not interrupt me. You will not interrupt me. You will not bully me. You will not interrupt me. I am not afraid of you. Stop saying the Jews tremble. Now, let me be clear. Let me be clear.
No, if you shout over each other.
Well, then you need to control your guests with all due respect. Okay, he said he said equal time, and there's no equal time. Now,
there's no equal time.
If Israel was interested in a genocide of the Palestinians, why do they have 1.8 million equal Arab Muslim citizens who are in the Israeli Supreme Court, who are 1/3 of the medical profession? Do you know that an Arab judge put the president of Israel in jail for accused rape? That was Moshe Katsav. That's how little Israel is an apartheid state, genocidal state. This man sitting next to me, Mohammed Hijab, will not distinguish between self-defense when Hamas comes to brutalize and murder your people versus when an army like Britain, like France, stops, retaliates to simply protect their citizens. You don't believe the Jews should have a right to defend themselves? Say it outright then. Then say it.
The Jews have the right to defend themselves.
They do.
Yes, they do.
So that's why we have to go.
Everybody has a right to defend themselves.
That's why we have to go into Gaza to stop Hamas.
Yes, they can go into Gaza and stop Hamas.
But
no, they can go in. But don't. No, hey, hold on. Let me tell you my position. Let me tell you my.
So they can go in. Thank God.
He asked me a question. Can I answer it? Yes, they can go into even fight. Even Abu Ubaidah, the general of Hamas, he said, "Nahnu fi intidharikum" in Arabic. We are waiting for you. That's what he's been saying. Hold on. You've asked me a question.
Go ahead.
They do have a right. What I've been advocating all along is face-to-face confrontation. What I'm against, hold on, excuse me. What I'm against is a 100-to-1 ratio, because if you have 100,
we're going to come to Mr. Block too.
Okay, guys, that was it. That's actually just the first part of. There's another clip that I'm going to react to on another day. That was like the first one, so this is like part 1. That was a dumpster fire. The Muhammad guy, he keeps repeating the whole like face-to-face combat, face-to-face on the ground combat. He does this like throughout the whole interview, and I think it's the whole like it's supposed to be like equal strength, like you should respond equally how they attacked, right? Like if they killed 1,000 people, you should only kill 1,000 people. If they killed this many women, you should only kill this many women, or something like that. I don't necessarily know that that's how war works. Like usually war works where the military use their best arsenal, their best men, their best soldiers, all the technologies that they have. They use their unfair advantages. That's what military is. That's what war is. They have been doing war like that since war was war. Like back in the Viking days, they figure out what kind of unfair advantage could we get over our enemies so we can kill more of them than they can kill us. Like that's how war is. So it's weird like when people are like, no, it needs to be like 50-50. It needs to be the same amount. Like that's not how war is. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, that's not how war is. Yeah, so he keeps repeating that, and a lot of people have repeating that. Do I think that is definitely overkill at this point? Yes, I do that. I do agree with that. But to say like the enemy should respond just at the same equal amount of strength that they were attacked and like slaughter the same amount of people that the other side slaughtered is kind of a weird thing to say, because like war has never been that way ever. This is why I'm just anti-war, period. Is the what is the IDS? The Israeli military, I think that's what he was referring to, if they're a terrorist group. I don't know. I don't know much about them. I'm not on the ground. I'm not in the rooms. I'm not having secret meetings with them. I have no idea if there's like their secret agenda is to just slaughter an entire ethnicity. If the military is acting like most military in most countries where they just take orders and fight back against the enemy because they felt like they were wronged in some way, then not really. That's just kind of how the military works. That's kind of how war works. Again, like even using the word genocide is sort of like an emotionary, reactionary word to, you know, to get people like triggered. But anyway, I think they both were doing the same thing. I think the rabbi was being way too emotional. I think they were both really being childish. I think they both were being really disrespectful. I think they both said some things that I agree with, but I think for the most part, they're not gonna win anybody over on did like agree with their argument if they're behaving the way they're behaving. But anyway, you guys let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. All that helps with the algorithm, guys, and please donate. It helps keep me on this platform. You guys have an amazing day. Bye.
So the people who kill babies are terrorists.
Well, let me respond.
Yes.
Let me respond. I believe Israel has a right to defend itself.
Okay.
I agree that they need to get rid of Hamas,
But in this way?
who are terror groups.
In this way.